This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Premier Wabkanu says no Instagram, no TikTok, and no social media for kids 16 and under. Manitoba is moving to become the first jurisdiction in Canada to block social media and AI chatbots for youth. The province says kids are spending too much time scrolling and it's taking a toll on their mental health. But will a ban work? CBC's Ian Fraze spoke with the experts.
We know them, we use them. Now, Manitoba is telling youth social media and AI platforms will be banned for people 16 and under.
These technologies do represent, like alcohol, like tobacco, they represent a clear and present danger to our kids, and it's time to regulate them as such.
Speaking Saturday at an NDP gala, Premier Wabkanu vowed a crackdown.
They amplify comparisons between yourself and artificial standards. They amplify outrage, and they expose kids to content they are not ready for.
On Monday, his education minister said she's heard nothing but positive feedback.
I might get emotional here. I think this announcement is so exciting as the minister, as an MLA, but as a parent.
Carmi Levy likes the ban, but the tech analyst questions how it'll be enforced. While the province hasn't offered details, a youth could get around the rules by logging in with someone else's ID or using an online program to disguise their location.
They're not simply going to give up their entire digital life. They're going to move their activities somewhere else.
Some say the new ban could bring new problems, including security. This law professor says verifying ages is harder online than in person.
For the most part, we can tell if we're talking to a 13-year-old or a 20-year-old, whereas computers, because it's a faceless interaction, they lack a lot of these contextual clues that people will pick up on.
We don't know how the ban will be enforced or when it might begin. The education minister admits students might be opposed. She says it's up to grown-ups to decide. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, some are praising the ban. Not everyone agrees it's a good idea. They say it's not just about the ability to endlessly scroll or go down a social media rabbit hole. Some youth say losing that access would make them fall behind other kids their age. And as CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco shows us, teenagers say there's better alternatives than an outright ban.
TikTok, YouTube, and Pinterest are Rolly Fitzgerald's windows to the world. Like many other 15-year-olds, he scrolls through apps for hours at a time. But that could soon be out of reach, with a ban of AI chatbots and social media coming for kids 16 and under in Manitoba.
It might be harder to feel in contact with the world. It might be harder to just know what's happening around.
Very, very awful things to kids.
Premier Wabkanu says these platforms are intentionally designed to be addictive. Depression, anxiety, and even self-harm can be part of the fallout from hours spent scrolling.
All in the names of a few likes, all in the name of more engagement, and all in the name of money.
But many teenagers in Winnipeg disagree with an outright ban. AI chatbots have become a tool for learning, and social media is key to socializing, both deeply embedded in their lives.
We went through a generation where our social interactions were taken away, and you want to do that again.
Other teenagers say the focus should not be banning social media in their generation, but to add content and time restrictions for younger children.
There will be a lot of people discussing more intense topics or scary things that happen, and it can make kids feel scared of the world.
The province has released few details but says it plans to follow Australia's lead. Legislation there requires companies to take reasonable steps to prevent anyone under 16 from having a social media account. A protection like this will be the first of its kind in Canada. Plus, the proposed plan goes further in restricting chatbots too. For some parents, it brings relief.
There's a lot of things on social media inappropriate for kids, and we as family and busy parents, I think we cannot keep up with everything kids see on social media.
Both the Canadian Centre for Child Protection and the Winnipeg School Division are supporting the province's move, but no timeline has been given for any changes in legislation. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Winnipeg man is stuck in indefinite ICE detention. Clayton Herman says they often go without proper food and medical care at the Adelanto ICE Processing Center in California. He's one of dozens of Canadians being detained by ICE, and as the I-Team's Michelle Allen reports, it's not clear when or how he'll get out.
Here in the Mojave Desert, a Winnipeg man has spent nearly 200 days behind barbed wire and ICE detention. This for-profit detention center is run by a private prison company called Geo Group on behalf of ICE.
We are prisoners. You know, indefinite prisoners is what makes it worse, with no end in sight.
Herman is one of 58 Canadians in ICE detention as of March. Most detainees, like Herman, haven't been convicted of a crime. Born and raised in Winnipeg, Herman moved to the U.S. 20 years ago, working cash jobs to get by. He says he overstayed his visa, which makes him an illegal immigrant. Then ICE took him into custody after a routine check-in as his case worked its way through immigration court. Herman says the conditions psychologically wear you down.
Some people have just broken down into just blubbering, incoherent tears. I can't stand to be another day in this place, and just would beg to get deported out.
Herman hasn't been given the option to self-deport or leave the country on his own. He says he waited 7 weeks for treatment for a sinus infection. He's been waiting months to get a cavity in his front tooth filled. He says some other detainees haven't been able to get heart medication or diabetic insulin.
He says he's seen a lot of mold at Adelanto, on the walls, on the bread they serve, and in their laundry, which is often returned damp. Law professor Sherry Aiken says detainees must have access to proper food and timely medical care.
There are actually international guidelines that call for minimum standards of treatment in relation to anybody in detention. And it's very clear that the U.S. is in flagrant violation of those minimum standards.
No les abra! While footage of people being snatched off the streets by masked agents has sparked outrage around the world, few see inside the detention centers. Congresswoman Norma Torres has.
American laws are being violated and human beings are being injured as a result, and some of them have lost their lives.
We would like to enter, we would like to speak to an ICE agent.
Torres and Congressman Raul Ruiz have pushed for access. Now she visits Adelanto every week to advocate for detainees. Torres says the inhumane conditions are intentional.
It's part of the mental trauma that they are being put through to force them to self-deport.
Some detainees never get the chance to self-deport. 4 Adelanto detainees have died since September. ICE referred questions to Geo Group. It says its services are monitored by ICE, and it provides around-the-clock access to medical care, translation services, and dietitian-approved meals. Herman's brother says he's worried for him.
I mean, he's a really free-spirited person. I'm sure it's killing him being locked behind, locked up like this.
Herman says he'd consider self-deportation, but he'd be sad to leave his life behind.
I was just thinking about my homestead. My cats, that's like your kids. My last emotional living connection to my dead wife, So, that's a big thing with me.
Herman says he was recently denied release on bond, with no lawyer, no bail, and no idea when he'll get out. He says all he can do is try to survive. Michelle Allen, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, Riley's in now. And Riley, this weekend we had a little bit of everything. We had some flurries, we had some sunshine, lots of people out enjoying that sun while we had it, though.
Yeah, and I mean, things certainly starting to stabilize, Brittany, as we get through the week ahead here. It's going to give us a bit of relief, particularly into northern parts of the province, which are still cleaning up from that system that pushed through last week and is actually still having an impact on parts of our province. You can see the counterclockwise rotation here around the Hudson Bay coast. That's that area of low pressure pressure that pushed back into Saskatchewan late last week and then back into Manitoba over the weekend for another sort of glancing blow at the Hudson Bay coast with a few flurries today. In behind that, some high pressure starting to build into the west. This is going to push eastward as we get through the coming days and stabilize things quite a bit for the prairie provinces as we get toward the middle, but particularly toward the end of the week here. So temperatures this afternoon, officially 9.7 at the airport, at 9 degrees this afternoon in downtown Winnipeg, 8 in Brandon, 6 in Dauphin this afternoon, around the freezing mark in Thompson. Some of these temperatures, particularly into the Red River Valley, this is about 5 degrees off seasonal, closer to 6 or 7 degrees off seasonal the further west you are in the province. So slightly cooler than normal. Again, overnight tonight, -2, mostly clear sky as we start the day tomorrow at the freezing mark, Brittany, and still a cooler one, but I'll talk about when we do get some warmer air into the province when I come back in just a bit.
All right, waiting for that one, Riley. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Instead of just watching a movie, her night turned into an adventure fit for one, and it went in a whole new direction. We'll explain ahead. A night at the movies ended in some drama for one Winnipeg woman. It started when she fell through the ground. Then she was trapped. Now she's just thankful it's all over. The CBC's Alana Cole has her story.
That's Christine Keelback in the middle, surrounded by firefighters, stuck in a hole, her head above ground. It's not how she expected her Saturday night to end after seeing a movie with friends.
Well, the ground had just given away very fast. I have no recollection of the fall. It just happened very quickly.
Keelback says she didn't see anything on the boulevard that looked like a problem. Her friend captured video of firefighters pulling her to safety. She had tried to get out on her own.
Couldn't get a toe hold. Every time I tried to stick my foot into the dirt around me, it was just crumbling away. And I sort of realized after a few minutes that the left side, the soil was less stable than it was on the right side.
Keelback is grateful to her friends, neighbors, and firefighters. She says the rescue crews got there in about 10 minutes, reassured her, and walked her through their plan to get her out. They also removed a piece of metal from behind her.
I was so lucky because there was also an old pipe in front of me about the level of my abdomen, so I could have hit that on the way down. So if you think about it, from the metal behind and the pipe in front, I was very, very lucky that I didn't get hurt.
Keelback estimates the whole ordeal lasted about 40 minutes.
I can now check that off my list of life experiences. I should never fall into a sinkhole again. Because I'm just interested intellectually, like what they think happened and how it's repaired. I'm glad it was me and not a child or an animal, because I was still above the ground when I fell in. Maybe somebody else wouldn't have been.
The city says at this point they don't believe it's a true sinkhole and appears to be related to a missing or displaced manhole or catch basin cover. The hole is covered now. A spokesperson says crews found similar conditions across the street and are determining how to repair both areas. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
People living near Abinogi-Mikina and St. Mary's Road haven't forgotten about a woman who died after being hit by a car while waiting for a bus last year. More than 7 months later, they want to see changes to make sure another life isn't lost. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
Samuel Peppel thinks about his wife, Omotayo Samuel Peppel, every day. The 49-year-old mother of 3 died after being hit by a car while waiting at a bus stop on Abinogi-Mikina near St. Mary's Road in September 2025.
You try to tell yourself to move on. It's not a very easy experience. It is excruciating.
More than 7 months after her death, Winnipeg police said over the weekend a 33-year-old man has been charged with dangerous driving, causing death, and driving while disqualified. Police say he was released on an undertaking.
It's not going to make us happy if it's charged or not charged, because what's going to make us happy is if there was a way she could be back.
People who live in the area and walk by the bus stop all the time haven't forgotten about the 49-year-old either.
It's dangerous. As simple as that. I think, wow, you should be walking down there to the bus shack.
They also want to see change.
We were just walking by here, and I said, with all the traffic and the bus stop there with that bench, I said, if you sit on there, you're asking to be killed.
We can move this bench because this bench is too close to the road. So as a safety measure, we can move this bench to a better location or divert this route.
Peppel also hopes his wife's death may prevent another tragedy from happening.
If this is one of the ways society is going to be better, if this is one of the ways that people are going to be protected, well, let it be.
A spokesperson for the City of Winnipeg says a review of the site is planned and any new safety recommendations will be forwarded for consideration. The city also says it plans to start an assessment of all bus stop locations in Winnipeg later this spring. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Winnipeg landmark has been closed due to safety concerns. Grant's old mill in St. James has been deemed unsafe by the city. The St. James Assiniboia Pioneer Association oversees the mill. It says it can't be repaired and needs to be carefully dismantled and rebuilt. It's expected to cost $1.1 million. Now, despite government funds, they're still $600,000 short. The mill opened in the 1970s. It's a replica of one from the 1800s, built by Métis leader Cuthbert Grant. The association says both are important parts of the province's history.
He stood up for those individuals against the Hudson's Bay Company. He was a doctor. He, supported that local economy by providing trade along that creek and the Assiniboine River, along that route. And he looked at it and he said, why are we paying people to mill our flour? Let's do it here.
Of the mill on July 11th. Riley's back in now, and it was quite a nice day outside yesterday, and I think everybody had the same idea that we did last night, going for ice cream, because big lines for people around the city at those ice cream shops.
I took advantage of the sunny weather, cleaned my car out, got some dusting done.
Yes, spring cleaning.
Yeah, full swing.
Different nights.
Yeah, I know. Certainly looking at the impacts of this area of low pressure still pushing out of northern Manitoba. That's where I'm going to start. Not so spring-like in northern Manitoba, especially when you look at some of these numbers from Environment Canada. A general 20 to 40 centimeters of snow. It's a little hard to tell exactly how much snow fell in parts of northern Manitoba, simply because we were also dealing with some gusty winds and some blowing snow. So that's why we're calling it a general 20 to 40 centimeters through the back half of last week, up to 10 millimeters of freezing rain in parts of northern Manitoba as well. And I mentioned some of those gusty winds, some of that blowing snow, drifting snow, and some highway closures toward the end of last week. And like I mentioned earlier, we're not done with that system yet. You can see the counterclockwise rotation along the Hudson Bay coast. That's the remnants of that area of low pressure as it kind of nudged its way back into the province and is now starting to move off and out of the province, and that will allow things to stabilize really right across the province as we get through the next couple of days here. What that did do, though, is keep another system working its way through the states into parts of northwestern Ontario at bay, so that did hold us back from seeing some showers in parts of the Red River Valley as much as we could use the moisture. That's all off into northwestern Ontario, still having an impact through the night tonight into places like Fort Francis, into Dryden, where we could see some mixed precipitation through the overnight hours. For the rest of us, carbon copy through Tuesday, as we saw today. We're in and out of some of the cloud cover as we get through the day. High pressure starts to clear us out as we get through the back half of Tuesday into Wednesday. A bit more of a substantial high moves in, and this, I think, will do a better job at not only clearing us out. I think this particular forecast model is overdoing some of that cloud cover, but also introducing and pulling in some slightly warmer air as we head toward the weekend as well. What that will also do is help to calm the winds down. I know it's been quite gusty in parts of the province today, looking at some gusts up to 40 or so into the Red River Valley. Likely to see some windy conditions through the night once again, but you can really see when that high takes hold and the wind gusts do start to drop off a bit. So expect another breezy one tomorrow at times, particularly for the southern half of the province, and then we start to turn the page and get into some warmer air. So 0 first thing in the morning for Winnipeg, around the freezing mark really right across southern Manitoba, a bit cooler into Thompson at -7, -6 into Gillam. In the long range, another couple of cool days ahead here. Wednesday at 9 degrees, and then Brittany, we start to turn the page and get back to regularly scheduled spring by the weekend.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, soon we will see those leaves and those colors start to bloom once again as things get green. We will have more ahead right after this. You've likely seen it happen, and probably more than once. Someone stealing from a store. It happens every day, everything from food to footwear. Now a group of West End businesses are working together to help combat it. They say it's not just about losing product and profit, but making sure people are safe. CBC's Mike Arsenault reports.
Businesses in the West End are banding together to prevent retail crime. The 2026 Retail Crime Prevention Conference gives owners a chance to address the issues plaguing their stores, like robbery, shoplifting, vandalism, and drug use. Michael Paye is the organizer and owns Cobra Collectibles on Sargent. He says shoplifting and safety concerns are all too common in and around his business.
I shouldn't need 60 cameras in my shop. Everything shouldn't be under glass. I shouldn't be worried if my staff are going to be okay if I go for lunch.
The conference was a full-day event. Speakers from the Main Street Project, the Bear Clan, Winnipeg Police, and others were all part of the panel of speakers. Chief Gene Bowers says it's important to report all crime, no matter how small.
It's important because we're data driven, especially more so today than ever, and we are utilizing that data to focus on trends and areas that the crime is occurring.
The West End Biz is a not-for-profit that represents 850 businesses in the area. Executive Director Joe Cornelson is sharing crime reduction strategies with the attendees and hopes to come away with some that he can implement.
And having that sort of holistic conversation, like is being had here, is something that we always want to be a part of, both from an opportunity to inform.
Cornelson says reducing crime in the area will take greater investments from all levels of government. Minister of Justice Matt Wiebe says his government is combating crime and the root causes.
Food for kids in schools, better education, more health care, more supports for young families. These are all steps that our government's taking to ensure that it's not just dealing with the problems of today, but it's looking at how do we create real solutions for the future as well.
Wiebe says it's important for government to work with the public to make communities safer.
There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. Is there a solution? I don't know. All I know is we can work together and fix the problems, start with the small ones and work our way up.
Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A major drug bust inside an Elmwood home is bringing relief for many people who live nearby. The house was a hotbed of drug activity. Police say in the last 2 months, roughly 30 overdoses were connected to it. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
Meth, fentanyl, and firearms were seized as part of a major drug bust at this house on Watt Street near Talbot Avenue. Police closed in early Thursday morning. Molly Kirchin, who lives nearby, says for years, the house had been a hotbed for drug activity and people coming and going at all hours. So seeing this was a welcome sight.
I was actually coming back from taking my daughter to school and I literally threw my hands up going yay, and there was like multiple people in the 7-Eleven and they were also cheering because something was finally getting done.
Winnipeg police say they started investigating earlier in April when officers got reports of drug trafficking and firearms at the home. Police say at least 30 overdoses have happened on or near the property within the past 2 months. Cindy Richter, who also lives nearby, says it was a huge safety concern.
We would see people smoking crack. We would see people injecting themselves. We would see them dying or ODing, and the police or paramedics coming and Narcan, and they would shoot up.
Richter has anxiety and asked her doctor to increase her medication because of what was happening near her home. She often saw syringes and pipes in this back lane. With the house now boarded up and empty, she says there's relief.
It's a big help because you're too afraid to go to 7-Eleven, or you actually see people now out walking.
Kirchin, who has kids that are 2 and 8 years old, agrees.
I would love to not have to look over my shoulder while I'm walking back from dropping my daughter off at school or having someone sneak up on me. So it does make me feel a little bit better. All this crime I know won't go away, but at least this house, this was kind of a major house to be dealing with.
Police say 2 men in their 40s have been charged with multiple drug trafficking and firearms offenses. Both were detained in custody. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Some municipal politicians in Manitoba say they've had enough with the harassment and abuse themselves and their staff have had to endure. The issue has become so widespread, it was a featured session at this year's Association of Manitoba Municipalities meeting in Brandon. CBC's Michelle McDougall spoke with elected leaders who say new laws are needed to hold people accountable and keep others safe.
And right now, we do not know what to do.
Frustrated, scared, and fed up. That's how some rural municipal politicians feel when it comes to harassment and abuse they and their staff have had to endure.
To assault our staff by phone.
It was a full house at the Association of Manitoba Municipalities spring session in Brandon, with public officials eager to find ways to address threats, intimidation, even online harassment. Beausejour Mayor Ray Sherrill says enough is enough.
Multiple municipalities have been getting threats, right from, again, Alexander having a bullet hole in a grader, to threats in their chambers, to we have, people were putting up dummies and hanging them and threatening, folks. This is not acceptable.
The RMs of Taché and Alexander have seen threats and violence escalate. In October of last year, a homeowner in Taché set up a display depicting local politicians hanging from a gallows. A month later, a grader was shot with a high-powered rifle while being operated in Alexander, and a municipal employee's vehicle was vandalized with a bullseye sprayed on it.
Change in legislation is needed.
The change, according to Matt Kinghorn, Alexander's deputy mayor, is in Manitoba's Municipal Act. It says everyone has a right to attend a council or committee meeting unless the person chairing the meeting expels a person for improper conduct. What councils cannot do is ban someone from attending, something the RM of Alexander tried to do recently, but a judge ruled it does not have that authority.
And that needs to be fixed. That may have been appropriate in years gone by, but with the way that the world has gone over the last number of years, that doesn't work anymore.
Justice Minister Matt Wiebe told CBC his department knows about the threats and is working with elected municipal officials to make sure they can do their jobs without fear of reprisal. Michelle McDougall, CBC News, Brandon.
There's still often a stigma, or at least a perceived one, when it comes to asking for help for your mental health in rural communities. But a conference in Brandon is hoping to help people overcome that. Farming is physically exhausting, and pressures like volatile weather and tariffs can have an impact on mental health. Jerry Friesen is a longtime advocate pushing to talk about mental health in agriculture. He says while stigma is disappearing, there's still a long way to go.
Keep on telling stories, keep on engaging people, keep on talking about it, keep on normalizing the fact that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay and more than okay to reach out for help. And the fact that there is hope and there is relief.
Mental Health on the Prairies runs Wednesday to Friday and is open to everyone. Ottawa is establishing Canada's first sovereign wealth fund. The move will allow the government to work in partnership with the private sector to finance major projects in areas such as energy, infrastructure, and technology. In announcing the fund, Prime Minister Mark Carney said international and private sector partners could invest in it, and everyday Canadians could do the same.
It is not something for rich people, it's something for Canadians, for all Canadians, everyday Canadians, and on that scale to provide it.
Carney said that by buying into the fund, Canadians would have a direct stake in the country's long-term nation-building projects. The fund will begin with an initial government endowment of $25 billion. With Canadians continuing to avoid travel to the U.S., the American hospitality industry is feeling their absence. Now one major vacation destination is taking steps to woo Canadians. Las Vegas is betting that accepting the Canadian dollar at par will do the trick. Sophia Harris explains.
Hi, great to see you.
Las Vegas tourism officials are traveling across Canada, meeting with local industry reps to spread this message.
We're missing our Canadian best friends. We miss you and we want you to come back to Las Vegas.
To all Canadian residents, we're going at par.
As an incentive, 3 downtown Las Vegas resorts are offering Canadians at-par deals for accommodation, drinks, and gambling.
No exchange rate, all the fun.
But it may take more than pleas and deals to convince some Canadians to return. March marked the 14th straight month of steep declines. Canadian return trips from the U.S. plummeted 32% that month compared to March 2024, when the U.S. travel boycott had yet to take hold.
It's just a scary place that the U.S. is becoming right now.
Artist Bruce Newman used to travel often to the U.S. to paint landscapes. But like many others, he joined the boycott early last year.
67%, that's tariff.
After President Donald Trump started a trade war and suggested Canada become the 51st state.
Definitely, while Trump's in office, we're not interested in going to the States at all.
Many boycotters are still traveling, they're just going elsewhere. Last year, 25% fewer Canadians traveled to the U.S., but overseas trips rose by 9%, and domestic tourism spending increased by 2.5%.
We're seeing more trips to domestic and other international destinations. So the story here is really a rebalancing in where Canadians are choosing to travel.
Newman is considering a trip to Gaspé, Quebec in the fall to paint landscapes.
I miss the freedom of going to the United States to paint, but there's plenty to paint here.
There's another looming problem for the U.S. tourism industry. The war in Iran is driving up jet fuel prices. The result? Higher airfares, which could mean even more Canadians choosing to stay home. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
The suspect in the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend made a brief court appearance in Washington. We'll have all of those details after the break. Stay with us. The suspect in the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner made a brief court appearance in Washington. Cole Thomas Allen is facing federal charges, among them attempting to assassinate the U.S. president. Nick Harper has the latest from Washington.
The world's media gathered outside Washington federal court on Monday for the arraignment of 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen. On Saturday night, he allegedly charged the security screening area at the Washington Hilton Hotel, firing his weapon just outside the ballroom where President Donald Trump was preparing to speak. The gunfire prompted Secret Service to rush the president and First Lady off stage. Allen was arraigned on 3 charges: attempting to assassinate the US president, illegally transporting a firearm across state lines, and discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called the alleged gunman depraved and said that political violence stemmed from the systematic demonization of the president by Democrats and the media.
Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonization of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media.
Prosecutors say, ahead of the attack, Allen emailed his family warning about the violence to come and laying out a priorities list of administration targets from highest ranking to lowest. Federal officials say additional charges will be added.
Make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States.
The suspect is scheduled back in court on Thursday, when a judge will consider whether he can be released pending trial. If convicted, Allen faces life in prison. Nick Harper for CBC News, Washington.
King Charles and Queen Camilla have arrived in the U.S. for a 4-day visit. Their trip comes amid simmering tensions between the U.S. and the U.K. on several issues, including the Iran war. Lisa Shing looks at what impact the royal visit might have on bilateral relations.
King Charles and Queen Camilla touching down at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, greeted by a military band playing the anthems of both countries. They were also greeted then at the White House by U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump before joining them for tea. Now, this state visit is to mark the 250th anniversary of American independence from Britain, but it's also fraught with tensions between the two countries, namely over what Trump calls the lack of involvement from the UK in the war in the Middle East. Over the last couple of weeks, we've heard Trump call Prime Minister Keir Starmer cowardly, making fun of their aircraft carriers, and saying that he really should do more to join the war. Starmer, for his part, says the U.S. is actually using UK military bases. And so all of this is wrapped up in the King's visit because he is walking a fine line. He is attempting to wield the soft power of the monarchy in order to try and smooth that relationship over. Here is what a royal historian says about what would constitute a success.
The success of this trip is whether Donald Trump dials down the rhetoric, dials down the inflammatory comments and inflammatory remarks. And if we can see a noticeable change in his attitude, then the mission of King Charles and the Queen will be a definite success.
On Tuesday afternoon, Charles will deliver a speech before a joint meeting of the U.S. Congress, and a lot of people will be watching and scrutinizing what he says and doesn't say in the speech, considering the relationship, the tense relationship between the two countries, trade tensions globally, and the fact that the King's brother, former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently under investigation in the UK for his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Washington.
The White House says Donald Trump met with his national security team to discuss a new proposal from Iran that might end the fighting between the two countries. But It didn't provide details. There are reports that Iran's proposal includes an offer to end its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for the U.S. lifting its blockade on Iran and setting aside talks on Tehran's nuclear program until a later date. Hopes to restart peace efforts have stalled after a meeting between top U.S. and Iranian officials was called off late last week. Riley back in now, and I know just looking outside on the weekend, those pups loving this weather now, no booties in sight, and it's finally started to dry off so it's not so dirty and muddy out there as well.
It doesn't have to necessarily be warm. As long as it's sunny out there, I think a lot of people are happy with.
It makes a big difference.
Exactly, with some sunshine. All right, I've got the dog walking forecast for you now, and for who we're showing you tonight, this was a special day for Ruby and Lucy. This is because this was doggy day at the office. Thanks, Lexi, for sending this picture, and I sure hope they had a lot of fun visiting work on this day. You can send your pups, please, to talkback at cbc.ca. So we are looking at a bit of a chillier start if you're taking the pup out for a dog walk tomorrow morning. Remember the layers, because, I mean, even though it is sunny, that northwesterly wind will have a bit of a bite to it first thing, up to around 7 by the afternoon tomorrow in Winnipeg and 6 into the evening hours. Again, it's that wind that will have a bit of a bite to it. I was talking a bit earlier about how we saw that general 20 to 40 centimeters of snow in parts of northern Manitoba. I did want to take a look at the snowpack here, and we'll go into a bit of detail with some of the numbers. And you can see for the most part across south and central Manitoba, the snow has receded, save for some of the higher elevations, say around the Duck, the Porcupine Mountains into the Swan River region. But in northern Manitoba, this is where we're still dealing with a lot of that snow. And one way we can measure that is with Environment Canada's sensors that measure snow on the ground. They're not perfect, but they do give us a bit of a sense on the trend and where we're looking at some of that heavier snowpack. So as of the end of yesterday, 20 centimeters on the ground in Flin Flon, about 40 at the airport in Thompson. Usually by this time in April, by the end of the month, we should have nothing left on the ground through Flin Flon, the Pas, maybe 5 centimeters in the Thompson region in Lynn Lake, 91 centimeters on the ground. That's according to the sensor. May or may not be accurate in your backyard, but that's just what some of the instruments that Environment Canada uses have on hand in northern parts of our province. So overnight temperatures, -2s, -3s across much of the south. Watch for some mixed precipitation on the Ontario side of the border. Temperatures closer to -3, -4 through the Pas, OCN, -7s through Thompson and Gillam. Maybe a few scattered flurries. I think we're on the very tail end of some of this precipitation. This particular forecast model indicating that potential for some of that as we get through the day tomorrow. However, I think this is a mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures up to 3 degrees through the Pas and OCN into the afternoon. 3s and 4s into the Parkland. We're into sun and cloud. I know these icons maybe are overdoing the cloud cover a bit, but there will be some sunshine in there. In southern Manitoba, 6s and 7s through much of the Red River Valley. And Brittany could even get into some 8s and 9s into parts of northwestern Ontario, and things remaining a bit breezy. I'll have your 7-day forecast just ahead.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
A roller derby team in Brandon already has the grit, bruises, and will to win, but they're struggling to survive. Membership has declined, venue costs have doubled, and without a permanent, affordable home, the sport may not survive.
Outside. Yeah. Roller derby is pretty punk rock. I'm Dawn. Our league, Wheat City Roller Derby League, started in 2010.
No, okay. Brandon needs roller derby because it's unique, it is inclusive, and it's not just for people who want to skate and smash into people. We need officials. We need people that just want to be around and support.
Everything's hard. I have played with Scarlet Fever. There are approximately 10 people on our team right now. Since COVID, it's been quite difficult for us for lots of reasons. Cost of venue, availability of venue has been a real problem. We had a lot of members decide not to come back after COVID, between not having enough members, and then we've also had issues with other teams that are also not playing as much.
Having a home, I think, would help us the most, an affordable home. Even though we lost a lot of our membership, our dues went up a little bit, but our practice time's cut in half. We can't afford our sport anymore. Honestly, if it was hockey, I could take 2 seasons off of hockey and come back and I'd get my butt kicked. But like, you can come back and hockey will still be here. But if we walk away from derby, it's not gonna be here anymore.
I joined there, learned to roller skate. I was pretty new to Brandon. Like, I just want to find a community, and I also want to find a new sport. Why I would love if we could have more of the learn to skate classes, because that's how I got introduced to sport. And I know a couple other people that would like to learn how to skate first of all, and then maybe move into derby. But you can't exactly do that when you don't have a consistent place to practice or a specific time.
I have a couple people who have decided to come back from a long time ago, and we have a couple of new members and some things that are happening in a positive way that will be able to attract some more people, and things are looking up, hopefully.
What is all the screeching about? Well, it certainly isn't about Riley's 7-day weather forecast. We will find out about both of those things after the break. Stay with us. Well, runners took their dogs to Assiniboine Park Sunday for a possum cause. The 5th in-person Fun and Fury Dog Run raises money for Dog Rescue Canine Advocates Manitoba. This year, about 450 families took part, running or walking with their four-legged friends 5 or 10 kilometers.
It's gotten bigger every year. We have a lot of very well-behaved furry friends, and it's just a great day to be out in the park.
A lot of dogs running together with us, and it's fun. It's really fun.
The event was hosted by Manitoba Marathon and sponsored by Manitoba Hydro.
You know, a bit breezy for that event, but overall, you know, nice in the sunshine for sure. And that sets us up for a sunny week ahead for really much of southern Manitoba. By the time we get to the weekend, things starting to clear out for much of northern Manitoba as well. So 9 degrees by the time we get to Wednesday, double digits by the time we get to the weekend, 15 for Friday, 19 for Saturday, 13 for Sunday. And I am watching our next chance for some precipitation coming as we get into the early part of next week there as well. One weather picture for you tonight, this one coming from Carson, who took this in Moosehorn. The sunset over Moosehorn with a bit of color in there with the Canadian flag as well. You can send your pictures to talkback@cbc.ca. Not bad for a 14-year-old.
No, not bad.
Great eye for a photo. Aristotle famously said, art imitates nature.
And with that in mind, here are some artists in your daily lift.
Oh my.
This is the annual European Seagull Screeching Championship.
Oh dear.
More than 70 participants flocked to a coastal Belgian town on Sunday to strut their best impression of the much reviled bird.
The event attracted competitors of all ages from 15 countries. While there's no prize, these passionate performers do get bragging rights. The main goal of this contest is to change people's negative perception of seagulls. You would only catch me there if there was some good prize. I'm not going near that one.
I don't even know, but I hope there was some good food for the seagulls to eat.
I sure hope so too.
Right?
I sure hope.
Love it. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.